The rest of the group show up to the farm. A funeral is held for Otis, and Shane tells a made-up story. Herschel wants them to give up their guns and leave, once Carl is well and Sophia is found. Shane asks Lori if she wants him to stay. She says yes. Daryl goes out looking for Sophia on his own. Maggie and Glenn plan a pharmacy trip, and Lori asks Glenn to get something private. T-Dog and Dale are grabbing water when they discover a walker in a well. They try to get it out, but it ends up splitting in half, ruining the well. At the pharmacy, Maggie catches Glenn grabbing condoms, and they get it on. Back at the farm, Rick asks Herschel to reconsider asking them to leave. Herschel says if they follow his rules, he'll consider it. Maggie and Glenn arrive back. Maggie tells Glenn it was a one-time thing, and Glenn gives Lori what she asked for. Daryl comes back and gives Carol a Cherokee rose, a symbol of hope and strength for grieving mothers. He thinks it bloomed for Sophia. Inside, Carl wakes up and Rick gives him his hat. Rick puts his badge away, and Lori walks off on her own to use a pregnancy test. She sees it's positive and reacts strongly as we cut to black. This is a pretty cool episode. Not that much exciting happens, but we get some good character moments. Herschel telling Rick that he wants them to leave their guns. Shane lying about Otis. Maggie and Glenn going to the pharmacy and getting it on. And then Maggie telling Glenn it was only a one-time thing. And then you have Lori being revealed to be pregnant. The whole Walker in the well situation, while it's not super exciting, it's pretty cool effects when the Walker splits in half, and the look of that Walker is really cool. Also, this is the first episode where Rick gives Carl his hat, super iconic. I actually really like this episode despite how slow and kind of meandery it feels. I give this one a solid 8.6 out of 10. Love the further character development of Daryl and Carol with the Cherokee Rose. Love the character development between Glenn and Maggie, Rick and Carl, and Lori with the pregnancy test. I love the character interactions between Herschel and Rick this episode, and you can start to see the setup for the rest of this season happening between them. I really like that. That is Cherokee Rose.